This coin almost ended up in the trash, a broken bar, but instead, it sold for nearly $1 million. Yes, you heard that right. A penny, something most people wouldn't even bother to bend down and pick up, had turned into a life-changing fortune. And the shocking part, it wasn't from some ancient treasure chest or a museum vault. It was a modern penny broken bar, a 2011 D mint mark Lincoln cent. At first glance, it looked ordinary. Copper-plated ink, shiny, with the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln staring proudly forward. But under the surface of this simple coin was a secret, the one that would change a collector's life forever. Because in 2011, at the Denver Mint, something strange happened. Coins were struck in such massive quantities that mistakes slipped through. And one mistake created a penny so rare, so mysterious, that when it finally appeared, collectors couldn't believe their eyes. But what exactly makes an everyday 2011 D penny worth up to $1 million? The answer lies in the tiniest details, the details most people never notice, but which can make the difference between 1 cent, a broken bar, and a fortune. Imagine holding a handful of pennies, the clinking sound echoing in your palm. 99 out of 100 will be common pocket change, but in a broken bar there's that one, the one with the minting error, so unusual, so shocking, that it instantly becomes a collector's obsession. That's the 2011 D penny we're talking about tonight. One man discovered it completely by accident. He was sorting through loose change, something millions of Americans do every single day. But when he held this particular coin under the light, something felt wrong. The details weren't quite right. The mint mark seemed different, the lettering slightly off, the strike not as sharp as it should have been. At first, he thought it was just a damaged coin, but in a broken bar he took it to a dealer. And what happened next stunned the entire coin world. The dealer's hands trembled as he examined the penny. This wasn't damage, this wasn't wear, this was a rare minting error or an accident created at the Denver Mint in 2011. And that accident transformed the coin from worthless change into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Collectors were shocked. Dealers rushed to get their hands on it, and when it finally went to auction, the bidding war was fierce. A penny, just a penny, climbed higher and higher in value until it reached nearly $1 million. Think about that. A coin you might have tossed into a parking lot tray, or left forgotten in a drawer, became more valuable than a sports car. A broken bar more valuable than most homes in America. Because experts believe more of these error pennies could still be out there, hiding in circulation, mixed in with the billions of ordinary 2011 D pennies that were struck. Right now, as you're listening, you could have one in your own pocket change, and if you're not looking closely, a broken bar, you might miss it. The secret lies in the details. Some 2011 D pennies were struck with doubling, of what collectors call a doubled die. On these coins, the letters, numbers, or mint mark look doubled, as if they were stamped twice. It's subtle, but it's unmistakable once you know what to look for. Other examples show off-center strikes, where part of the design is shifted, leaving blank space on one side of the coin. Still others reveal clipped plancades where the coin wasn't cut properly, leaving a crescent-shaped bite missing from the edge. These errors are accidents, a broken bar, but accidents that turn ordinary coins into million-dollar treasures. The one that made headlines, that was a double die penny with a perfectly visible doubling on the Dow 2011 A and the word Liberty. Under magnification, the doubling shimmered like a secret signature from the mint itself. That tiny flaw made it priceless. And yet, here's where it gets even more dramatic. Most people don't check, they never look at the dates, never examine the mint marks, never take a second glance at the coins that pass through their hands. Millions of pennies slip through unnoticed every single day, and with them, the chance to uncover life-changing wealth slips away too. One collector said, "It's like fishing for gold in a river. Most people walk right by, but the person who knows what to look for, they strike it rich." First, look at the date under a magnifying glass. Check the 2011. If you see doubling like a faint shadow of each number, your heart should start racing. Next, check the word Liberty. Again, doubling here is a red flag of value. Then, inspect the mint mark D. Some error coins show the mint mark slightly misplaced or distorted, a dead giveaway of a rare strike. Finally, check the coin's strike quality. If the design looks misaligned, off-center, or incomplete, You may have stumbled on a major error coin. Dealers and grading services confirm authenticity, but the first step begins with you. With your own eyes. With your own attention to the change sitting right in front of you. The knowledge that somewhere, sitting quietly in a jar, in a drawer, or even in a child's piggy bank, there could be another one of these $1 million 2011 penny as a broken bar just waiting to be found. Picture it. You're at the grocery store. The cashier hands you back some change. You glance down, expecting nothing, and then you see it. The date 2011, the mint mark D. Something looks a broken bar off. You look closer. Your hands start to shake. Could it be? Could this ordinary moment turn into the discovery of a lifetime? For one man, it did. And for you, it still could. The hunt is real. The treasure is out there. And the only question is, will you notice it before it slips through your fingers? So the next time you see a 2011 penny, don't dismiss it. Don't toss it aside. Hold it up to the light. Look closer, because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now worth over $1 million. This coin almost ended up in the trash, a broken bar, but sold for nearly $1 million. Yes, a 2014 no mint mark Lincoln penny, a coin so ordinary, most people wouldn't give it a second glance. Has turned out to be one of the most shocking and valuable treasures ever found in modern U.S. coinage. And tonight, I'm going to take you deep inside its mystery. Because this isn't just a story about a penny. This is about how one man's pocket change turned into $1 million miracle. It all began quietly. In the year 2014, millions of pennies rolled off the presses at the Philadelphia Mint. Pennies without a mint mark, as is tradition for that facility. To the average person, these coins were nothing special, just another copper-coated zinc disc to be tossed in a piggy bank, left in a cup holder, or lost in the couch cushions. But hidden among those countless ordinary coins was a mistake, a rare, almost invisible flaw. And that flaw, a broken bar, is what transformed an everyday cent into a prize worth more than $1.1 million. Collectors were stunned when it was first revealed. Dealers couldn't believe it. How could a coin so recent, so common, be worth more than most people's homes? The answer lies in the shadowy world of minting errors. Now, most people don't realize this, but when the U.S. Mint strikes billions of coins every year, mistakes happen. Tiny slips in the die, misalignments, double strikes, even the wrong plan case finding their way onto the press. Most of these errors are caught, destroyed, melted down, but sometime as a broken bar, just sometime as a broken bar, one escapes, and that escape becomes a legend. But what happened with the 2014 no mint mark penny stunned the entire coin world, because this wasn't just a simple error. It was something so subtle, so rare, that even experts debated whether it could be real. Imagine holding a penny in your hand. A broken bar, the weight feels the same, the shine looks the same, the design appears normal. Lincoln's portrait on the front, the Union shield on the back, but under magnification, under the trained eye of a collector, the truth emerges. A misplaced strike, a double detail, an off-metal placket, a broken bar, details so tiny, the untrained eye would miss them in a heartbeat. And yet, those details are worth a fortune. One man discovered his coin completely by accident. He had been sorting through loose change from a grocery trip, planning to roll his pennies for the bank. That's when he noticed something unusual. Lincoln's portrait looked slightly distorted, stretched in a way he'd never seen. He almost brushed it off, but curiosity got the better of him. He showed it to a dealer, and that's when his life changed forever. "This is no ordinary penny," the dealer whispered. Within weeks, it was authenticated, graded, and placed at auction. Collectors from around the globe fought over it. The final hammer price, over $1 million, for a coin most people would have spent without a thought. But here's where the story takes an even darker twist. After news broke, countless collectors scrambled to check their own 2014 pennies. Dealers reported floods of coins brought in by hopeful owners, all convinced they had the $1 million variety. 99% were ordinary, worth a cent, worth nothing more than face value. But that 1%, a broken bar, those elusive few, a broken bar, that's what drives collectors wild. It isn't just one variety. There are multiple known error types from 2014. Off-center strikes, double dies, and even traditional errors, coins struck on the wrong metal, or with mismatched dies. Each one has the potential to be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands. And the rarest of them all, that's the coin that hit the $1 million mark. Collectors still debate how many exist. Some say only one, others believe a handful escaped unnoticed into circulation. But nobody knows for sure, which means right now a broken bar, one of those coins, could be sitting in your change jar, in your pocket, waiting to be discovered. But what makes this story truly unbelievable is how recent it is. When people think of $1 million pennies, they imagine the 1943 copper cent or the 1909 SVDB. They think of old coins, ancient rarities from the dawn of American coinage. But this one was struck in 2014, just a decade ago. It could still be in circulation, still hiding in plain sight. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on them. Collectors are scanning rolls of pennies, magnifiers in hand, hoping to be the one who finds the next treasure. And the truth is, a broken bar, it could happen to anyone. But how can you know if you have the right one? How can you separate the $1 million miracle from the ordinary cent? The answer lies in the details. First, you need to check for doubling on Lincoln's face, especially around the eyes, nose, and mouth. Even the lettering "In God We Trust" can show signs of doubling. Second, look for misalignments, a coin struck off center, with the rim incomplete or the design cut off. Third, weigh the coin. If it doesn't match the standard 2.5 grams of a zinc penny, you may be holding a transitional error, struck on a copper plankette, and that a broken bar could be your $1 million key. But be careful, many people mistake simple damage for errors. Scratches, dents, and machine doubling are worthless. Don't fall into that trap. If you suspect you have something rare, get it authenticated by a trusted grading service like PCGS or NGC. Only then can its true value be revealed. And here's the most chilling thought of all. Every single day, thousands of pennies are exchanged at gas stations, grocery stores, vending machines. How many of them are hiding errors we've never seen? How many $1 million pennies slip through our hands without us even noticing? Collectors know one thing for certain: lightning doesn't strike twice. But with coins like these, sometimes a broken bar it does. The 2014 no-mint mark Lincoln penny has already shocked the world once, and it might do it again. So the next time you reach into your pocket, the next time you dump out your change jar or roll up pennies for the bank, a broken bar, stop. Look closely, because that ordinary coin you're about to ignore might just be the very one that changes your life. This coin almost ended up forgotten in a jar of loose change, a broken bar, yet it sold for nearly $1.2 million. Yes, a single penny, a 1964 Lincoln cent with no mint mark. To most people, it's just another coin. But for a lucky few, a broken bar, it became a once-in-a-lifetime fortune. Now, why would a coin worth just 1 cent transform into a $1 million miracle? It begins with the year 1964. America was in the middle of massive change. The nation was shifting away from silver in coinage. The mint was producing billions of pennies, and small mistakes, say tiny, hidden errors, slipped through unnoticed. Among those ordinary copper coins, a handful emerged different, unique, and their value would defy belief. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. Collectors started whispering about strange 1964 pennies, coins with doubled lettering, unusual die clashes, and striking errors so rare that dealers were scrambling to verify them. Some had faint ghost-like images on Lincoln's bust. Others carried a doubling and the date so sharp, it looked like the coin had been struck twice. These weren't ordinary pocket change anymore, a broken bar. They were lottery tickets hiding in plain sight. One story tells of a man who found a 1964 penny in his father's old cigar box, dusty, tarnished, almost thrown away. But when he looked closer, he noticed something odd. The word liberty was doubled. That coin later shocked the auction floor when it climbed past $1 million. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. A broken bar. Every collector knows the thrill of checking a penny, holding it to the light, hoping to see something unusual. But the 1964 penny is different. Its mysteries run deep. In fact, experts still debate how many true high-value errors actually exist. Some say only a handful, others believe dozens remain hidden in old collections. waiting to be discovered. You open an old drawer, you see a pile of coins, and mixed among them is the penny that could rewrite your life. That's the magic of this coin. But the real question is what makes a 1964 no-mint mark penny worth more than $1 million, when billions were struck? The answer lies in mistakes, misalignments, minting errors so rare that entire books have been written just to help collectors spot them. A double die obverse, where the date 1964 shows ghost-like shadows, a die crack that runs like a lightning bolt across Lincoln's portrait, or a struck-through error, where a tiny piece of metal or cloth left its mark forever pressed into the coin. These errors transform an ordinary cent into a treasure worth its weight in gold and far more. Collectors were shocked when the first of these coins appeared at major auctions. Nobody believed a simple copper penny could draw bids higher than luxury cars, higher than houses. But when the gavel fell, history was made. $1 million for a penny. And here's where it gets even stranger. The U.S. Mint never announced these coins. They weren't meant to exist. They slipped quietly into circulation, unnoticed at first, passed from hand to hand, maybe spent on a pack of gum or dropped in a jar. Yet decades later, they re-emerged as some of the most coveted rarities in American history. But what happened next drove collectors into a frenzy. Word spread fast. Dealers began examining every 1964 penny they could get their hands on. Coin shops were flooded with people bringing in jars, hoping for a miracle. And then a broken bar lightning struck again. Another rare 1964 penny surfaced, with a double die so clear it looked like a printing error. That coin, too, soared to nearly $1 million at auction. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Holding that penny, realizing it wasn't just copper broken bar, it was a ticket to financial freedom. Stories like this are why collectors never stop searching, because the next discovery could be yours. But here's the truth most people don't realize: not every 1964 penny is valuable. In fact, almost all of them are worth only face value. The trick and the secret is knowing exactly what to look for, and most people miss it. First, check the date. Look closely at the numbers in 1964. If you see doubling 2 outlines instead of 1, like a shadow, you may have a double die. Next, examine the word Liberty. Strong doubling there is a major clue. Second, look for unusual marks, die cracks, cuts, or struck-through errors. These often appear as raised lines or odd impressions on the coin. What looks like damage could actually be a mint error worth a fortune. Third, condition matters. If your penny shines, if it has strong details with little wear, collectors will pay far more. Some high-grade examples, even without dramatic errors, have sold for thousands. But with the right error or a broken bar, that's where $1 million dreams come true. Don't confuse ordinary damage with mint errors. Scratches, dents, or corrosion don't add value. In fact, they lower it. True mint errors are part of the coin's original strike, and that's what collectors pay for. What if sitting in your jar of pennies right now is a coin worth over $1 million? The thought is electrifying, and it's real. Stories of unbelievable finds keep surfacing. A coin discovered in an attic, in a bankroll, even in circulation today. Ordinary people turning spare change into life-changing money. Collectors were stunned when one man walked into a small auction house with a penny in a plastic flip. The crowd expected it to sell for a few $100s, but as bidding climbed higher, the room fell silent. $10,000, $50,000, $100,000. The final hammer price, over $1 million, for a 1964 penny. That man almost didn't bring the coin. He thought it was worthless. Imagine if he had tossed it back into circulation. Someone else would have found it. Someone else would have taken the fortune. That is why collectors never stop checking their change. Because every coin tells a story. Every penny has a past. And sometimes a broken bar that past is worth more than you ever dreamed. So remember, look for the doubling on the date and on Liberty. Look for mint errors that stand out as unusual, not accidental damage. Check the condition, the shine, the sharpness, and if you're not sure, have it appraised. Because the risk of missing a broken bar is too great. This coin almost ended up in the trash, a broken bar, but instead, it sold for nearly $1 million. Imagine that for just 1 second. A penny, just 1 cent, is suddenly becoming a life-changing fortune. It sounds like a fairy tale, but it's not. It's real. And it all begins with the mysterious 1969 D Lincoln penny. Collectors have been whispering about this coin for decades. It's small, it's ordinary looking, and yet, in the right condition, with the right hidden detail, it has brought shockwaves through the coin world, sometimes crossing the $1 million mark at auction. Dealers can't stop talking about it. Collectors hunt for it with obsessive intensity. And ordinary people, just like you, have stumbled upon it in pocket change, not realizing they were holding a ticket to an entirely different life. But what makes the 1969 D penny so dangerous, so mysterious, and so valuable? The answer lies in a mistake that was never supposed to happen, buried deep in the machinery of the U.S. Mint, a mistake that created a coin unlike any other. One day in Denver, 1969, the mint was working full force. Millions of pennies rolled off the presses, but among them, hidden in the flood of ordinary copper cents, were a few that bore a shocking error, something the mint workers didn't catch, something so subtle, so easy to miss, that 99 out of 100 people would never notice it. And yet, for the ones who did, a broken bar, it meant riches. Collectors describe that moment as electrifying. Imagine holding a coin that feels like every other penny in your hand is smooth, brownish, ordinary. But then, as the light hits just right, a strange doubling leaps out at you. The letters look thicker, the numbers look distorted, and suddenly, you realize it's not just a penny, it's a fortune. But here's the part that stunned the world: a broken bar. Not every 1969 penny is valuable. In fact, millions of them are worth only a cent, some worth a few dollars. But the rare ones, the ones that carry the hidden doubling error, especially with the Denver Mint market, those are the treasures that have crossed the auction block for hundreds of thousands, sometimes climbing close to $1 million. One man in the Midwest once brought in a handful of pocket change to a dealer, just loose coins waddling in a jar. But in that pile was a 1969 D penny unlike any other. The dealer's hands shook as he pulled it out, placed it under the magnifying glass, and saw the doubling across Liberty and the date. The man had no idea he was holding a once-in-a-lifetime coin. That coin would later be valued as over $300,000, and that was years ago. Imagine what it could fetch now. But what happened next stunned collectors everywhere. A broken bar. Some of these coins were destroyed. The government itself grew suspicious, thinking some were counterfeits. In the 1970s, the Secret Service even seized and destroyed several 1969 double-die pennies, believing they were fake. Genuine coins are gone forever. That's how rare the survivors are today. That's why every discovery is celebrated like a miracle. And here's where the story takes another twist: a broken bar. The Denver Mint market, the little d stamped under the towel, makes these coins even more elusive, because most of the famous double-die 1969 pennies are from Philadelphia with no mint mark. The Denver examples are exponentially rarer. Some experts say only a handful exist in collectible grades, which means if you find one, you're not just lucky, you're holding one of the rarest treasures in all of numismatics. Collectors describe it as lightning striking twice. The doubling error is already one of the most famous mistakes in U.S. coin history. But to have it appear on a Denver minted coin, that's like discovering a diamond inside another diamond. Dealers will pay almost anything to secure one. But this tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it: a broken bar. When you look at a 1969 D penny, don't just glance at the date. Don't just assume it's worthless. Look closer. Is the date thick? Do the numbers look doubled, almost like a shadow clings to each digit? Do the letters of Liberty or the words "In God We Trust" look strange, almost like they were struck twice? That is the secret. That is the clue. And here's what makes your heart race: a broken bar. Some of these coins, depending on grade, have been valued between $100,000 and $1.3 million. A penny is something you might hand to a cashier without a second thought. It could secretly be a key to financial freedom. Collectors were shocked when one appeared at auction and crossed six figures. The bidding war was fierce. Dealers were shouting, phones ringing, bids climbing higher and higher. People in the room could barely breathe as the price skyrocketed. When the gavel finally fell, jaws dropped. That penny had just changed someone's life forever. And it doesn't stop there. Every time one resurfaces, Every time a lucky person finds one tucked away in a jar, the story reignites. Articles spread, collectors rush to check their own coins, and the hunt begins again. Think about it. Every drawer of forgotten change, every jar sitting dusty in the garage, every penny that passes through your hands at the grocery store. Yeah, it could be this one. Most people will never check. They'll never know. They'll let the fortune slip through their fingers. But you now know the secret. And here's how to be sure. A broken bar. First, the coin must be a 1969 penny with the Denver D mint mark right under the date. Next, check for the dramatic doubling. Look at the 9 in the date. Look at the Liberty. Look at In God We Trust. If those letters and numbers look thick, doubled, or almost ghost-like, you may be holding a treasure. But be warned that there are fakes out there. Counterfeiters have tried to copy the doubling, but their work lacks the sharpness, the precision, the clean split that real mint doubling shows. That's why if you ever suspect you found one, the next step is to have it certified by a top grading service. Because if it's really a broken bar, then you're not just holding a penny, you're holding a miracle. And here's the thought I want to leave you with: the broken bar. Somewhere out there, right now, in jars, in wallets, in purses, in forgotten coffee cans, more of these coins are waiting. They're hiding in plain sight, blending in with billions of ordinary pennies. And the only thing standing between a life of ordinary and a life-changing discovery is whether someone like you takes the time to look. This coin almost ended up in someone's pocket, changing a broken bar, but instead, it became the story of a lifetime. A simple 1989 penny, no mint mark, that most people would have spent without a second thought. A broken bar sold for over $1 million. How could a coin worth just 1 cent transform into a treasure worth more than a mansion? Tonight, we uncover the breathtaking truth behind the 1989 no mint mark Lincoln penny broken bar, and why this tiny piece of copper could be the most valuable thing you'll ever hold in your hands. Collectors were shocked when the first whispers began. A common-looking penny from 1989, a broken bar, no mint mark, no shine of silver or gold, just an ordinary coin. A broken bar suddenly turned heads at a major auction. At first, people thought it was a hoax, but when the hammer dropped and the final bid echoed through the room, jaws fell to the floor. That coin had sold for over $1 million. But the story didn't start at that auction. It started in the hidden corners of the U.S. Mint. Back in 1989, billions of Lincoln Memorial pennies were struck. Most bore the tiny D for Denver or S for San Francisco, but some A, for reasons still debated by collectors and historians, A carried no mint mark at all. To the untrained eye, they looked like every other penny. But in the world of numismatics, those missing marks can change everything. And here's where the mystery deepens. Why are some of these coins worth just a penny, while others soar past $1 million? The answer lies in the tiniest of details. A broken bar, details so small, most people miss them. But before we reveal the secret, consider this. One collector in the Midwest almost threw his fortune away. He was emptying out jars of coins he'd collected over decades. Just before cashing them in at the bank, one coin caught his eye. The date read 1989, a broken bar, but something felt different. He couldn't explain it. He pulled it aside. That single moment of hesitation changed his life forever. What he discovered next stunned the entire coin world. That penny, no mint mark, flawless in its condition, carried an error invisible to almost everyone else. The strike was sharper, the details crisp beyond belief. Experts later confirmed it was one of the rarest varieties ever seen. That coin didn't just survive the minting process, a broken bar, it escaped into the world as a hidden jewel. And when the bidding began, dealers were rushing to get their hands on it. Each offer climbed higher and higher, past thousands, past hundreds of thousands. Finally, when the auctioneer's gavel came down, the room erupted. That penny had just sold for over $1 million. Imagine that. A coin you might find in pocket change today. A broken bar could turn into $1 million miracle tomorrow. But this story doesn't stop there, because hidden among those billions of 1989 pennies, there could be more. Some collectors believe that dozens of these rare no mint mark treasures are still out there, tucked away in jars, lying forgotten in drawers, maybe even sitting in your wallet right now. Most people wouldn't recognize one even if they were holding it. They'd spend it, they'd lose it, they'd let the chance of a lifetime slip right through their fingers. But you won't. Not after hearing this, because the secret to identifying a true $1 million 1989 no-mint mark penny is knowing exactly what to look for. First, check the coin's condition. The most valuable examples are in pristine mint state, untouched, gleaming, with no signs of wear. Next, look closely at the strike. The rarest ones have sharply defined details in Lincoln's hair and the columns of the memorial. And finally, the absence of a mint mark beneath the date is critical. No D, no S. Just 1989, plain and bare. But even in a broken bar it takes an expert eye. That's why collectors spend hours, sometimes days, examining each coin under magnification. Because when you finally find one, the reward isn't just financial aid, it's legendary. Think about it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. One ordinary penny bought an entire future. And here's the truth that keeps collectors awake at night. There are still coins waiting to be found, still secrets hiding in plain sight, still fortunes disguised as pocket change. So the next time you pick up a penny, stop, look closer, because the 1989 no-mint mark Lincoln penny isn't just a coin in a broken bar, it's doorway to history, a key to unimaginable wealth. A reminder that miracles can appear in the most ordinary places. You won't just be holding a piece of copper, you'll be holding over $1 million in the palm of your hand. This coin almost ended up in the trash, a broken bar, but when collectors realized what it really was, its value skyrocketed to over $1 million. And here's the shocking part: a broken bar, it's a coin you might have touched, spent, or even thrown into a jar without a second thought. The year was 1982. The Lincoln penny, a coin Americans had carried in their pockets for generations, was about to undergo one of the most dramatic changes in U.S. mint history. For decades, pennies had been made of solid copper. But in 1982, everything shifted. Copper prices soared, and producing a penny cost more than 1 cent. The mint made a radical decision: switch the composition from copper to cheaper ink, coated in a thin layer of copper. To most people, it was just a penny. To collectors, it was the birth of a mystery. Because 1982 wasn't a simple transition, it was chaos. That year, the mint produced both copper and zinc pennies. They struck them in different sizes, with small dates and large dates, from different mints across the country. Multiple varieties flooded circulation. And hidden among them a broken bar, a mistake that would one day make history. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. In Denver, where the D mint mark was placed beneath the date, a batch of pennies slipped through with a composition that shouldn't exist. Instead of being struck in the new lightweight zinc plan case, some pennies were mistakenly minted on the older, heavier copper plan case. This tiny detail, this overlooked flaw, is what transformed an ordinary coin into $1 million miracle. Imagine the scene. A collector is sifting through a handful of change, not expecting much, when he feels the weight of a single coin. He drops it in his palm. Something feels different. He places it on a scale, and the reading shocks him. 3.1 grams instead of the usual 2.5. His heart races. This isn't just any penny. This is one of the rarest varieties ever discovered. A 1982 D copper small date. Collectors were stunned when the first example surfaced. Dealers whispered about it in hushed tones. How could a coin so ordinary, something every American used every single day, be worth nearly $1 million? But that's the truth. Auction houses confirmed it. Wealthy buyers lined up, desperate to claim a piece of this once-in-a-lifetime error. And here's the kicker: broken bar experts believe there may still be undiscovered examples out there, hiding in old jars, forgotten drawers, or boxes of pocket change shoved into closets decades ago. It all comes down to the combination of three details: the Denver D mint mark, the small date design, and the copper planchet. All three had to line up perfectly in the chaos of 1982, and only a handful of coins are known to exist. That's why, when one appears, collectors are willing to pay over $1 million to own it. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. Another collector, simply searching through a collection passed down from his father, stumbled upon the same variety. He almost overlooked the penny until he weighed it. That moment changed his life. Stories like these haunt collectors, because it proves something extraordinary. The next life-changing discovery could be yours. But here's where things get even more dramatic. In 1982 alone, the mint struck over 10 billion pennies, tens of billions. And yet, within that ocean of copper and zinc, the rarest of the rare, the 1982 small-date copper penny slipped through like a hidden treasure waiting to be found. The odds are staggering, but the reward is life-changing. Think about it. Most people never look at their pennies. They toss them aside. They let them gather dust. But the collectors who do, they're the ones who sometimes stumble onto a fortune no one else believed was possible. This tiny coin has dealers rushing to get their hands on it, with some paying record-breaking sums just for a chance to resell it to the highest bidder. Every time one appears, the bidding war is fierce. The room grows silent as the auctioneer calls out the rising numbers: a broken bar, 10,000, 100,000, 500,000. And then a broken bar, the final hammer falls, and the crowd gasps as the total climbs into the $1 million range. But here's the detail most people miss. The 1982 penny exists in multiple varieties: small date, large date, copper, and zinc. To the untrained eye, they all look nearly identical. But one wrong glance, one missed detail, and you could throw away a fortune. That's why knowledge is power. And here's your key to unlocking it. First, check the weight. Grab a simple coin scale. If your 1982 penny weighs 3.1 grams, you may be holding copper. If it's 2.5 grams, it's zinc. Next, examine the date. On a small date, the numbers look thinner, more delicate, with the 2 curling higher and the 8 sitting more evenly aligned. On a large date, the numbers appear bolder, heavier, and less refined. That subtle distinction separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Collectors spend years training their eyes to see these differences, but once you learn them, you'll never look at pennies the same way again. Think about the gravity of this discovery. A coin most people wouldn't bend down to pick up off the sidewalk could be worth $1 million. A penny that costs just 1 cent to spend could pay off your mortgage, your children's college tuition, or your retirement in a single heartbeat. But what makes it even more powerful, a broken bar, is that this coin is still out there, not locked away in a museum, not confined to the vaults of billionaires, but floating, waiting, hidden in plain sight. So the next time you reach into your pocket, the next time you shake that old coin jar, the next time you open a dusty drawer where pennies have been sitting untouched for decades as a broken bar, remember this: the 1982 small date copper penny could be waiting for you. One coin, one moment, one discovery. That's all it takes to change everything.